AFRICOM confirms additional 200 American soldiers deployment to Nigeria. Abuja residents cry out over water shortage as government denies complaints. Electricity workers issue nationwide strike notice to the federal government. On the foreign scene, Turkish talent manager jailed 12 years over 2013 Gezi Park protests. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. The United States has deployed about 200 troops to Nigeria to train the country's military in the fight against Islamist militants, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal on Tuesday. An American military official told the newspaper that the deployment comes weeks after the United States President Donald Trump accused Nigeria of failing to protect Christians from terrorist attacks. The report said the troops were expected to strengthen Nigeria's counter-terrorism capacity through training and operational support. It added that the newly deployed personnel will supplement a small number of U.S. military advisors already in Nigeria, who are assisting local forces with intelligence to identify targets for military strikes, and the U.S. and Nigerian officials countered. Speaking during a virtual briefing last Tuesday, the commander of the United States Africa Command, General Dagwin Anderson, confirmed increased collaboration between both Nigeria and the United States following high-level engagements. Still on the United States, the United States plans to deploy 200 troops to Nigeria in a mission described as training and intelligence support, but the implications could go far beyond that. From fragile ceasefire deals in the north to bigger questions about foreign interests and local control, this move may shift the security balance in ways many Nigerians are only beginning to consider. Abdullahi Ahmed examines this situation and now reports. Well, the report is not forthcoming. We'll move on. The United States has proposed targeted measures, including visa bans and possible asset freezes against individuals and groups accused of religious freedom violations in Nigeria under the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act 2026. The bill was introduced on Tuesday by the U.S. Congressman Riley Moore and co-sponsored by Chris Smith. It names former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso alongside Fulani nomadic militia and associations, including the Miet Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria and Miet Allah Kautal Hore. The proposed legislation directs the United States Secretary of State to assess whether some Fulani militias qualify as foreign terrorist organizations under the U.S. law, while also supporting humanitarian aid delivery to Nigeria's Middle Belt through faith-based and non-governmental organizations. Rhino Moore said the bill builds on earlier U.S. actions, including Nigeria's designation as a country of particular concern over the religious freedom violations, a label reaffirmed in late 2025 by President Donald Trump. The Nigerian government has rejected claims that the crisis is religious in nature, insisting that the insecurity is multifaceted and driven by criminality and terrorism rather than faith. Still on the U.S.-Nigeria relations, the United States says it will deploy about 200 troops to Nigeria to strengthen counterterrorism cooperation, focusing on training and advisory support for the Nigerian military, not direct combat. The move has sparked mixed reactions across the country, igniting debate over national sovereignty, security, and foreign involvement. Trust TV's Neil Sampson has this report.
U.S. officials and Nigeria's defense headquarters have confirmed that additional personnel will train and advise Nigerian forces in the fight against Islamic insurgent groups such as Boko Haram and ISWAP. They are also expected to support intelligence sharing and joint operations planning. U.S. Africa Command says the deployment will not involve combat roles, but to complement a small existing team already working with Nigerian forces. The development comes against the backdrop of prolonged insecurity in the country, including militant attacks, kidnappings, and mass killings in several regions. Here in Abuja, residents are divided. While some believe US trainers could help Nigerians troops gain the upper hand against insurgents, others insist the country must chart its own course and remain conscious about hosting foreign troops on its soil.
I really don't know what their plan is, because we keep hearing about 200, 400 has been killed. This one has been, the place has been, cleared, but we're not seeing any results. They move from one place to another to still kidnap people here and there. So the kidnapping is still going on. But well, if that's going to sort it out anyway, it's a good move if that's going to work. That is, if it's going to work, if they're sure it's going to work. That would be a very good move. At least people around there will feel safe. Everywhere will be calm at least.
Because this security in Nigeria is becoming too much. And since Nigeria cannot be able to fight this security, it's very good to other countries to support us so that we will have peace in this country.
The entire situation shows that we have lost it as a people, as a nation in particular, because the moment you cannot solve your personal family problem and you are now calling people from outside to solve your personal problem, that shows that you have lost credibility and sense of responsibility. That makes you irresponsible in the first place. So the idea of US coming in the first place shows that Nigeria is backward and we are not doing the right thing. There is a leadership problem and we must tackle it. Then on the issue of insecurity, it's fine that US is coming, but then again, what are they coming for? What do they stand to gain in helping Nigeria to tackle our insecurity problem? We must ask ourselves this very question. It is fundamental.
It will do a good work in Nigeria. It will help the security and help us to fight all the insurgencies that we are having. To support, to help us to fight what our soldiers cannot do.
As Nigerian authorities continue to clarify the terms of cooperation with the United States, a broader question remains: will this assistance deliver lasting security, and do Nigerians truly support it? Public opinion remains divided, reflecting deep concerns about sovereignty and the search for sustainable long-term solutions to the nation's security challenges. Well, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still on the United States story and the deployment of troops to Nigeria, we will still tell you, or rather we told you earlier, that the United States plans to deploy 200 troops to Nigeria in a mission described as a training and intelligence support. But the implications could go far beyond that, according to experts. From fragile ceasefire deals in the north to higher and bigger questions about foreign interests and local control. The move may shift the security balance in ways many Nigerians are only beginning to consider. And Abdullahi Ahmed is considering that and examining the situation. He now reports.
The plan for the United States to deploy 200 troops to Nigeria has been framed as a training and intelligence support mission. But beyond the military language, this move could shift the entire security equation in the north. Nigeria is not only fighting insurgents. In several states, local authorities and communities have entered fragile ceasefire deals with bandit groups to reduce killings and kidnappings, albeit unsuccessfully. The arrival of foreign troops could disrupt that delicate balance. Armed groups may see this as a sign that the federal government is abandoning negotiations for force. Now that could harden positions, trigger retaliation, or push factions to prove relevance through fresh attacks. On the other hand, stronger military pressure backed by better intelligence might force some groups to take negotiations more seriously. It cuts both ways. Then there's the bigger geopolitical question. Nigeria's goal is simple: reduce violence and stabilize troubled regions. The United States also talks about counter-terrorism, but global powers rarely act out of goodwill alone. Security partnerships expand influence, deepen military access, and project power across regions. So the real issue is alignment. If US priorities shift towards broader strategic competition or symbolic counter-terrorism wins, Nigeria could find itself tied to an agenda that does not fully match its local realities. Africa offers many examples. Djibouti hosts the largest permanent US base on the continent. It gives Washington strategic reach, but it hasn't transformed regional stability. Somalia has seen years of US-backed operations against Al-Shabaab, yet the group remains active despite tactical gains. Niger Republic hosted a major US drone base until political upheaval forced a withdrawal, and insecurity there did not disappear during the partnership. Now, these cases show a pattern. Foreign support can help at tactical level, but it rarely fixes the deeper political and social drivers of conflict. For Nigeria, this means the deployment is a tool, not a turning point by itself. Used well, it could help improve intelligence, sharpen operations, and limit civilian harm. Used poorly, it could fuel extremist propaganda, strain local trust, and make Nigeria look like a new frontline in a wider global contest. Now, the bottom line is this: control and clarity. If Nigeria sets the terms, builds its own capacity, and matches security action with governance and economic fixes, this partnership could strengthen the fight against terror. If not, the presence of foreign troops may add another layer to an already complex war.
Nigeria, United States troop deployments and collaborations in terms of defense. Is the retired Wing Commander Musa Salmanu a security expert? Wing Commander Salmanu, welcome to News Hour Studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Good evening, our viewers.
Well, let's begin from the beginning, as they say. The U.S. troops deployment appears to Nigeria, appears to have, the story appears to have emanated from the Wall Street Journal, according to reports. Why do you think we're getting this information in Nigeria from a foreign source?
Well, because here in Nigeria, we treat everything or almost everything in secrecy. And so we are more likely or very unlikely to send out this information because they are being highly classified. But however, it is important that we own this narrative because this is what is happening here in Nigeria. It has its own ramifications here in Nigeria, and it is the clarity needs to come from Nigeria. So Nigeria should be the one saying this, or at best or at worst, it should be joint statements that are made about this. Narrative is very important because this has been taken to the highest strategic level. Now, military cooperation, bilateral military cooperations are normal between countries. Like we have seen in so many places and we have seen it so many times. There are trainings that have been going on and so on. But this is slightly different because it is coming from the strategic down. Initially, it has to, sometimes, yes, if such bilateral or decisions are made and so on, the implementation does not have the political connotation that it has. But this particular one, it has a political connotations because it's coming at the very strategic level of both countries. It's important that Nigerians are kept aware or are kept abreast at best so that nobody feels that there is something that is being hidden. So it's important that we are truthful, that we are timely, and that information goes out as at when it ought to be. We must avoid having this information coming out from other parties, not the Nigerian government.
Yes, training and intelligence support mission. What does that mean? As a security expert, can you deconstruct that for us?
Well, it's a very broad term that it means training, especially in terms of personnel, improving capacity, sharing lessons, It means both from the tactical to operational and sometimes even strategic level training. It means sharing that's in terms of training. So training encompasses everything, every level in terms of training for policy, training for operations, training for kinetic, and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of intelligence sharing,
intelligence support.
Intelligence support could be right from getting real-time intelligence information passed down, and also helping to even train. So it could be part of training also. So those are all gamuts of ensuring kind of operation enhancers, force multiplier, kind of how do you improve capacity of the host country or the Nigerian forces in a way that they are able to maximize their own ability to tackle the security situation.
Yeah, within the context, all this is happening within the context of the Nigeria-United States defense, if you like, partnership, isn't it? But wouldn't you, as an expert, say there appears to be a contradiction, if you like, in the sense that while training and intelligence support is being pushed forward as part of the defense partnership and between Nigeria and the United States, the same United States at its Congress has some of its members proposing to come up with, if you like, bills that are labeling some Nigerian individuals or even indigenous organizations as terrorist organizations. What does this say of Nigeria's sovereignty, Nigeria's independence, and bilateral relations, larger bilateral relations between Nigeria and the United States?
So we have to understand that in international relations and relations among countries, that every country seeks to achieve its own objective, national interest. And when you're communicating with, that's in terms of the wider political atmosphere, that each leader communicates to his citizens. So the American audience that the members of Congress, of course they are members of Congress of America, not members of Congress of Nigeria. So they are talking to their own populace there. However, that has implication for what happens here, because whatever happens there actually has implication. Now, what we have to do as a country is to be kind of, to try to align the purpose, or to try to align the intention or the outcome, the intended outcome of this partnership. And we can do that by synchronizing our narratives with the United States. Because there's no how, like I said earlier on, they are talking to their local
I'm not cutting you short, but very quickly, if we say if you say or argue that synchronizing the narratives between the United States and Nigeria, that's what you're advocating, right?
Yes, because there's a divergence.
So are you saying if we are to synchronize, the National Assembly should also come up with a bill to designate some individuals as terrorist organizations or terrorists?
You see, the nuances, and so everything is local. And there is a saying that the best solution to a problem is the person closest to that problem. Now, the Americans can support in terms of security or intelligence sharing, in terms of training and so on and so forth. But the truth is that the Americans cannot solve the problem. It's a local problem, and we have to identify what are the drivers of that problem and so on. Now, not trying to explain what, but most times why terrorism, counter-terrorism measures fail is that because we do not go after the major leaders of that of any act of terrorism. And for as long as you don't do that, now you go after the foot soldiers. It's so easy to recruit and to multiply and so on and so on. I'm not saying, so in their own thinking, in their own perception, perhaps they could be saying that we are going after the biggest people or the biggest institutions that foil this. Whether that is right or wrong, that I don't know, and it is based on their own
Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired security expert. Thank you so much for coming to the studio and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you so much.
We will
for
have to
having
stop
me.
here, but certainly I know you will come to the studio again.
Sure.
Thank you.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
Moving on now, troops of the Operation Hat in Kai have neutralized 16 terrorists, rescued 11 hostages, and arrested suspected logistics suppliers linked to insurgents in Borno State. The Media Information Officer of the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hat in Kai, Lieutenant Colonel Sani Uba, disclosed these in a statement issued on Wednesday. According to him, the terrorists were neutralized on February 9th, 2026, when troops working in synergy with the civilian Joint Task Force launched a counter-offensive along the Komala axis in Kondoga local government area, following an earlier attack on a military base. Lieutenant Colonel Sani Uba explained that on February 5th, 2026, at about midnight, ISWAP terrorists attempted to attack forward operating base Auno, but troops of Sector 1 repelled the assault with disciplined firepower and tactical precision. He said during the counter-offensive operation, troops recovered over 20 bicycles as well as a large cache of logistics items, weapons and other supplies critical to terrorist operations. Meanwhile, residents of Danhonu 2 community in Kaduna are fleeing the area and seeking safer environments following a series of recent kidnappings in the neighborhood. Tension gripped the community days after armed bandits abducted 6 people, including women and children, on Sunday night. TOS TV's Bello Musa, who visited the community, reports that families of the victims remain devastated by the abduction of their loved ones. The report.
This is the situation in Danhonu community, where families and other residents are still in shock over the abduction of their loved ones. Although Abdul escaped being kidnapped, his wife and 2 children were forcefully taken by gunmen who stormed their residence. He says the kidnappers came to his house shouting his name. I wasn't feeling well when I returned from patrol, so my wife gave me an injection. I was dozing off when she woke me, saying she had a bang on the door. I stepped out of the bedroom and asked who was there. They told me to open the door. They kept hitting it, and in the process, they broke the window glass. Then they called my name, and that's when I knew it was over. Recalling the last moments with his wife, he says her words still echo in his mind. She told me to hide because I was sick, but I refused since they already called my name. I decided to go out. She said she was ready to sacrifice her life for me, and those words struck me deeply. It took them minutes to break the door, but they couldn't find me. During the attack, some members of the community attempted to rescue the victims, but were unsuccessful. However, a young girl who was abducted alongside the others reportedly returned shortly after the incident. On Sunday around 12 midnight, I received a distress call that kidnappers had stormed the community. When we arrived, they had already abducted a woman and her children. As we pursued them, we found a small girl they had released on the road. When we returned, we discovered that another woman, a school proprietor, her husband, and their child had also been kidnapped. Prior to the recent abduction of 6 persons, a retired photojournalist was kidnapped weeks ago. Despite payments of ransom, the abductors have yet to release him.
Aka kai musu miliyan 5, aka kai musu waya guda 5, kanana guda 3, manya guda 2 da kati recharge card 200,000. Haka kai musu kuma da aka kai su karba kudin kuma ba su sallame shi ba, yau kwana 14 kenan da aka kai musu kudi. Su karba kudin tun daga ranar washe garin suka kara kira suka ce sai mun ba su mashina guda 2 da waya babba guda 1 da kati glo da zen na 100,000. Tun ranar na baba ya da kudin su ba sai da zai mani gwamnati ya taimaka.
Although the community is located within Millennium City, not far from the main road, insecurity has forced many businesses to shut down, with several residents fleeing the area. Many people couldn't finish their building due to fear. That is why you see uncompleted structures around. Even today, someone came and packed his building materials.
People are not really happy. There's no peace, no eyes to sleep. We are seriously in panic. Most of people, because of the panic, they are ready to leave the community.
Paper was abducted in the community alongside his wife and 2 children. Similarly, the then Blueprint correspondent Abdurrahim Audu was kidnapped with his wife, who was later abandoned on the road after she could not endure the trek through the bush. According to residents, cases of kidnapping in the area date back to the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020. Bella Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Back to the FCT, residents of Ushafa community within the Abuja Municipal Area Council are protesting a long-running water shortage, even though they live near the lower Osuma Dam, one of the FCT's main sources of water. Habibat Ajayi was in Ushafa and now reports.
Homes and businesses across Ushafa say irregular water supply now shapes daily life. Many residents spend money on private boreholes and water vendors, known locally as Merua, to get basic water for cooking, cleaning and bathing. A Trust Television visit shows the problem caught across several parts of the community. Areas affected include Camp, NCC Roundabout, Zone C behind the primary school, Zone A Lane A, Zone B Lane C, Hadefemi and Monkey Village. Residents say taps linked to the FCT water board have stayed dry for days at a time.
We are close to the water and we are not enjoying the water, and people far away, distance from here, they are using the water. I cannot even remember the years, more than 2-3 years now. So we are lack of water in this area, seriously. If they can help us, we'll be very grand. When the water is not coming, we'll go and beg from those that have borehole and those that have well. We'll be drawing the water from the well. And the well also, like for this season, you will not be able to see water from any well at this era.
My dear, this place is very terrible because before we have water, we need to go from, like the distance from here to Usmandan is very far. So you pay money like that kind of 500, 1,000 go and come. So if you go and fetch it every day, how much are we spending? We don't have water here. Even how we say Sumanda water is reaching here, we cannot be buying pure water 400 every day. If you buy pure water sachet, it's 20 pieces inside. So it will not even reach you 2 days to finish. So we are spending a lot of money for water, and this place is, we don't have enough water here. If we can get anywhere that anybody can help us to have enough water. You will see me carrying water on my head. From here to down there, I will carry water from my head, my baby in my back every day. So this place is terrible. Please, we need help. When they come to ask us about this thing, we never see anybody that come to interview or ask us how are we feeling, do we have enough water. We never see anybody. It's only today that you people came and asked us about this water. This place is very terrible. And even though you go to Usmandan, before you will get it and fresh, you need to stay lined and queue before you can get water. So for you to even go that stress, going to that place to go and get water, it's better for you to even fetch from borehole and buy pure water from these people. The bowl is not even good. The water, I cannot keep it for one day.
It is well. And isn't never is well because we are suffering for the water. Unlike me, I used to go to a river at the back, and before our children go to school, we go late because of water. Sometimes does not meet up in time, even to go to church or some other thing because of water. Even me, I'm feeling back pain because of water. I'm not using it. It's not easy for me to be fetching water, but we are suffering because of water. And we are in Ramadan. We are not enjoying the water of the Ramadan. We used to go to Ramadan to go and fetch water with our money, enter bike, going and coming. Sometimes 1 naira, 1.5 before you get water to drinking is. And we are in Ramadan. We are not. There's no joy in us for me to suffer on it. That if you people, there is a way for people to help us. Please, people should help us.
Some families have drilled personal boreholes to cope. They describe the cost as heavy and the situation is draining, especially for low-income households. Still, many say they have noticed ongoing excavation work in parts of Ushafa, believed to be for new water pipelines.
We have been suffering for this water. Merua that used to give us water is sometimes 2025, and the money cannot afford. If you cannot afford the money, there's no water for you. And sometimes does not. Even the solar we are dragging it with students, and we are students. Even now the solar is not malfunction again. There's no way for us. We are suffering much. Please, people should help us.
The issue of water shortage, I think we have been having some water before, but the recent time now our minister of Safe City just approved. They are working on it now. Very soon, shortly, in a short while, we'll have abundant water because the work has been going on. You can go along the road, you see where they are digging the pipes. They have been laying the pipes, So they're on it now. Some communities have water, but maintenance, since it's government property, everybody is just messing it up around. That is just, if not, there was water before. We have been using water when we came here, so because of the every time destruction of this thing, and some people now decided to be having to sink their own boreholes without bothering using this thing, what they call the Ramadan water.
There are also claims from within the community that a large share of water from the lower Usman Dam is being diverted to a private farm nearby. Trust Television could not independently confirm that allegation. When contacted, the general manager of the FCT Water Board, Daniel Salka, says his office has not received any formal complaint from the area manager about water shortages in Ushafa. Meanwhile, visible pipeline excavation has raised cautions. Hope among residents that supply may improve soon. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, electricity workers issue nationwide strike notice to the federal government. We'll have more news when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back to News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. AFRICOM confirms additional 200 American soldiers deployment to Nigeria. And Abuja residents cry out over water shortage as government denies complaints. Moving on now, electricity workers have issued a 21-day nationwide strike notice to the federal government over what they described as widespread anti-labor practices, wage violations, non-remittances of deducted taxes and pensions, and worsening job insecurity in the Nigerian electricity supply industry. The workers under the umbrella of the National Union of Electricity Employees warned that failure to resolve the issues within the stipulated period could lead to industrial action capable of crippling electricity generation and distribution nationwide. In a letter addressed to the Minister of Power, the Association Acting General Secretary, Igbebike Dominic, lamented that the union had written several letters to the ministry over precarious employment conditions in NESI, particularly in generation companies gencos, and distribution companies discourse since the privatization of the sector over 12 years ago without any meaningful responses. The workers accused power sector employers of refusing to negotiate or implement collective agreements and conditions of service, especially in power generation companies, while also failing to implement the 2025 National Minimum Wage Act and its consequential adjustments. Concerns over food security took center stage as lawmakers examined the budget of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, raising alarm over rising input costs and poor returns to farmers across the country. Members of the National Assembly also questioned delays in the release of approved funds, warning that without urgent intervention, the challenges facing farmers could further worsen food production and affordability. The report.
Members of the House Committee on Agriculture warned that the rising cost of fertilizers and other farm inputs is discouraging farmers and could further threaten food security if urgent action is not taken. Engaging the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Sebi Abdullahi, lawmakers called for the prompt release and proper utilization of approved funds. The minister cited rising costs of inputs, technology, infrastructure and transportation as major challenges and called for policies to reduce production costs and improve yields.
Release of funds to the agricultural sector in the year 2025 is already constraining productivity and weakening the sector's ability to play its expected role in economic recovery. It is that if this trend continues and funding in this year remains insufficient or is released untimely, it will significantly undermine agricultural performance, deepen Nigerians' food and nutrition insecurity, and erode the broader microeconomic gains anticipated for the year.
Later, we requested that please you should update when you came for the budget defense. Update us on what you people are doing on those multilateral projects that normally is being used, even if the budget is not being funded. If we have a multilateral and bilateral amount, maybe constituting what I have mentioned, it will help in boosting the food production.
Now, one of the constraints we will be reporting is the fact that the price of inputs, which is driven by some macroeconomic policies, is still high for farmers and is a major source of concern. So whatever the committee can do to support us in this area.
In a related development, Chairman of the House Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions, Abiodun Akinlade, directed the agencies under the committee to submit evidence of their internally generated revenue within 24 hours. He warned that any institution that fails to comply risks suspension of its 2026 budget defense, stressing that the process is a critical accountability measure.
Dear colleagues, the agencies, can with this committee give you 24 hours to present your IGR to this committee? In the next 24 hours, kindly extract your IGR for 2025 and present to this committee in the next 24 hours.
Lawmakers say the reforms are necessary to strengthen agricultural productivity and ensure national food security.
From the National Assembly to Jigawa State, the state government has reaffirmed its commitment to the welfare of senior citizens in the state. To this end, it has paid the sum of 1.43 billion naira as pensions and gratuities to 564 retirees. Trust TV's correspondent Ali Rabi Ali now reports.
The payment exercise forms part of the Jigawa state government's ongoing efforts to ensure the prompt and transparent settlement of retirement benefit for former public servants. The beneficiaries include retirees who exited service through normal retirement, families of officers who died in active service, as well as the next of kin of those who passed on after retirement. The Accountant General of the state, Abdullahi Shehu, explained that Jigawa's sound financial management structure and strong political will have positioned the state as one of the leading performers in pension administration.
The governor is able and upright. It's always after the payment of people's benefits, whether it's in terms of salary, allowances, and pension. So it is the ability of them and under the God's guidance, that God has guided him to be man of principles, man of fashion, man of agility. So that makes him makes us to be paying this pension on monthly basis, and coupled with a good system that has been built.
The Executive Secretary of the Jigawa State and Local Government Contributory Pension Scheme, Biliamin Shitu, noted that this is the second batch of pension payment in 2026, following the disbursements to nearly 600 retirees in January. He added that under the current administration, billions of naira have been paid to thousands of retirees over the past 2 years.
Today, inshallah, we are paying 564 retirees, 485 those retired, 71 those who died in active service, and 8 those who died after using their property. They are collecting their pension, and the payment is up to date. We are paying them inclusive of their February pension. The total amount to be paid today is 1,429,201,208 kobo, inshallah, between today and Thursday.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed satisfaction with the exercise, commending the state government for its consistency and transparency. Receiving our pension on time has really helped us and reduced the stress we usually faced. The Jigawa state government says the timely payment of pensions not only improves the welfare of retirees, but also boosts the morals of serving workers. From Jigawa, Ali Rabiu Ali, Trust TV News.
As Muslims across Nigeria prepare for the holy month of Ramadan, the Jama'atul Nasrul Islam JNI has held its annual pre-Ramadan meeting in Kaduna. The meeting reviewed last year's Ramadan tafsir, raised concerns over insecurity, economic hardships, and religious unity, and issued fresh guidelines to Islamic scholars ahead of the fasting period. Our correspondent Bello Musa now reports.
The annual pre-Ramadan meeting of Jama'atul Nasrul Islam brings together Islamic scholars, traditional rulers, and Muslim leaders from across the country. Held in Kaduna, this year's session focused on assessing the conduct of Ramadan tafsir, a core aspect of religious teaching during the holy month. JNI reminded participants that Ramadan is not only about abstaining from food and drink, but also a time for spiritual discipline, moral renewal, and unity. The interpretation of the Quran is a sacred trust that must be handled with sincerity.
Quran is the one and only book Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed with the solution to all of human worries. It is therefore the understanding and implementation of its message and solutions with which humanity will sail to the coast.
Muslim organizations should test the quality and qualification of their members before posting them to places for tafsir, because it has become like a political campaign. An organization will come and say, we are posting 5,000. But 5,000, if you sit and hear the kind of tafsir offered or delivered, you'll be shocked, unfortunately.
The organization cautioned against sensational preaching, hate speech, sectarian incitement, and the use of the Quran for personal or political purposes, particularly on social media. While reviewing the 2025 Tafsir sessions, JNI said many clerics adhered to laid down guidelines. It noted that some lapses were observed, underscoring the need for continuous engagement and supervision. The group maintained that pre-Ramadan consultations remain a vital for promoting discipline, unity, and strict adherence to the Quran and Sunnah.
And the ulama who venture in various sessions of tafsir in the morning, afternoon, or evening
to draw their attention that their tafsir should be full with decorum and guidance, not political pulpit, not a kind of rivalry kind of sessions, but a tafsir that will teach the Muslim for rebirth and renewal.
The meeting also examined Nigerians' worsening security situation, condemning killings, banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping. GNI urged federal government to take decisive action, stressing that safeguarding lives is the primary responsibility of any administration. The body further criticized economic policies considered burdensome, raised concerns over certain national appointments, and called for justice in all alleged cases of human rights violations. Attention was also drawn to increasing drug abuse and youth delinquency. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
To business now, the Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi II, has urged Nigeria and China to engage in diplomatic and trade relations that are beneficial to both countries. The Emir stated these while at the occasion marking the 55 years of Nigeria and China diplomatic anniversary. He stated that it's unfortunate that more Chinese companies are moving into Ghana and other neighboring countries instead of remaining in Nigeria. The development, he argued, may turn the country into a dumping ground for goods manufactured within the West African sub-region. For China's chargé d'affaires, he stated that the two countries, that is Nigeria and China, will continue to deepen their bilateral partnerships.
We are now the third largest economy in Africa. We used to be the first with all the devaluation, although we're third after South Africa and Egypt. We have just overtaken Algeria this year. We're number 4. Our GDP is finally beginning to grow faster than population. The potential is there, but you know, economies don't grow by accident. You have to plan for it. And we need to actually have a serious diplomatic engagement that is aimed, and the focus is, yeah, it's fine, you know, you can come and build the ports. You can come and build the airports, come and build the roads, that's fine. We have no objections, but you know what we want more than anything else is come and build power plants, come and build factories, employ workers, produce goods in Nigeria, and then pay taxes, and then you can repatriate your profit. That is a win-win situation.
For the past 55 years, China and Nigeria have been development partners committed to mutual benefit and shared success. Our cooperation has yielded fruitful results across trade, infrastructure, energy, mining, health, and human resources development.
To foreign news now, an Istanbul court has sentenced a prominent television talent manager, IC Barim, to 12.5 years in prison for seeking to overthrow the Turkish government over her alleged role in the nationwide protests that rocked Turkey in 2013. State news agency Anadolu report said that the ruling was delivered on Wednesday, bringing to a close a high-profile trial linked to the Gezi Park protests, which began over plans to redevelop a park in Istanbul and later escalated into widespread demonstrations against then Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Prosecutors had earlier sought a life sentence for the 55-year-old, accusing her of attempting to undermine the Turkish government. Barim has consistently denied the charges since her arrest in January 2025, insisting she played no role in organizing or directing the protests. According to prosecutors, Barim allegedly pressured actors and other figures in the entertainment industry to participate in the rallies. Claims her defense team described as politically motivated. Barim was briefly released in October 2025 on health grounds, but was rearrested a day later, a move that drew criticism from rights groups concerned about due process and the treatment of detainees. Now we'll go to sports news. Let's join Kabir Lawan.
Wiki Tourist Football Club management has formally acknowledged and accepted the resignation of head coach Abdul Maikaba. Maikaba tendered his resignation letter on Monday following a run of inconsistent results that have affected the club's performance in the ongoing Nigerian Professional Football League NPFL season. The decision came shortly after Wiki Tourists were held to a dramatic 4-4 draw by Kaduna United in their most recent league fixture, a result that further intensified pressure on the technical crew. In a brief statement, the club confirmed that Maikaba's resignation had been accepted while appreciating his efforts and services during his time with the Bauchi-based side. Wiki Tourists are expected to announce an interim coaching arrangement in the coming days as the club looks to stabilize its campaign and improve results in the league. Still on sport news, the Nigerian National League NNL has approved the Makati Stadium in Makurdi as venue for the home matches of Lobby Star Football Club of Makurdi, Benue. The NNL management gave the permission after recent inspection carried out that deems the stadium facilities satisfactory. Makati Stadium is a 5,000 capacity seated located at the Wadata area of Makurdi, Benue State. Chief Operating Officer of the league, Enlami Alana, stating, while the approval was given and Makati Stadium now has minimum requirements that meet the league standard, Alana warned that the permissions to use Makati Stadium is provisional and can be withdrawn if the standard is not maintained, noting that the NNL shall keep monitoring the facilities. Lobby Stars, who adopted the Lafia City Stadium, Nasarawa, will now relocate to Makati Stadium to place host teams and the remainder of their own matches from 14th of February 2026, when the second stanza of the Nigerian National League will commence. They will host First Doma United Football Club of Gombe State. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawal.
That Sports News concludes Wednesday's edition of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news. Thank you for watching. I'm Muhammad Kuda Abubakar saying good night.